What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Age of Quarantine. I'm David Castillo from Saint Vitus, one of the head bookers and owners of the spot. And today we are going to be joined by none other than Keith Buckley from Every Time I Die. Keith's incredible singer, incredible person, super cool. Really fortunate and glad to have him on. Want to thank everybody who donated to our Black Lives Matter fundraiser. We raised about $2,700 and gave it out to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. So that was awesome. We did that the other week, and we look forward to doing a lot more whenever we can be open. And of course, thank everybody who helped us out with the Kickstarter and all that kind of good stuff. Keith should be joining us shortly. And yeah, man, if you guys have questions for Keith, you can put it into the little comment box thing down here, and I'll be able to kind of check them later. I try and get to questions if I can, and I usually do it sometime towards the end. So, join in, hang out, be down with the ride. No whammy, no whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Keith Buckley, where is he? He's waiting. It's connecting.
Hi.
It's Keith Buckley.
Hi.
Holy shit. Keith,
Okay.
how the hell are you, man?
I'm getting sorted. Hold on one
I know,
second.
get yourself situated. I got a margarita.
Oh, that sounds delicious. Is it a top shelf margarita? What kind of alcohol are we dealing with?
We got just like Milagro, like nothing crazy.
Uh-huh.
I kind of live by the beach now, so I'm trying to embrace the fucking lifestyle, kid.
Where are you living now?
I live right outside of Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Oh, nice.
I bought a home here not too long ago, and yeah, man, and I go to New York all the time.
That's fucking awesome.
Until all this crazy.
Yeah.
Where are you, Keith? Still in Buffalo, right?
I am home in Buffalo. Yeah. Yeah. We finally got some good weather, so we got our pool open. We just got our jets fixed, so we're good. We're ready to chill outside and hang out at the pool all summer if we have to.
I literally just ran in from barbecuing a little bit. Fuck, I got to finish this shit.
Yeah.
Get to Keith. So Keith, I start these off kind of the same way every time out, but now it's kind of dragging on. But if you weren't at home in Buffalo, do you know where you'd be right now? Or are things scheduled, or are you?
Yeah. We'd be in Australia with Parkway Drive and Hatebreed, actually. So that got moved till next year. But I think that's even a little too optimistic. I don't even know if we'll be able to get there next year. But I mean, these cases are just going up. Luckily, New York is kind of fallen off a little bit. But people they're getting too brazen, and they're reopening things that definitely shouldn't be open, and people are sort of ignoring the social distancing, not wearing masks shit. So
yeah, I mean, I've been in the city since back and forth. I mean, the frequency of me going back and stuff is obviously different. But down here, it's sort of the same thing. There's a lot of outdoor spaces here as opposed to the city and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I think everyone's a bit tired, right? Everyone's a bit tired. But this is a war of endurance.
Yeah, I think it's strange too, because I think that a lot of people are straight up just ignoring things because they're sick of doing what they've been doing. And as much as you watch the news and it sensationalizes a lot of issues and it makes you more afraid of things, the fact that there's been a little fall off means that it hasn't gotten as much press. So people take that lack of press to mean that everything's okay. So they're just going out and they're just fucking disregarding all the rules. It's just it's nuts to me that the things that people are supposed to be afraid of, like an actual respiratory virus that can kill you, are the things that most arrogant Americans ignore, and then the things that you're not supposed to be afraid of that really pose no threat, immigration, things like that. That's the thing that people get fucking up in arms about. It's like the priorities are just so fucking backwards in this country.
Very skewed, very intense, and at the moment too, I feel like everyone, because they're not able to kind of express themselves or live the lives that they used to, a little while, they're glued to their screens, just
Yeah.
looking the next like thing or moment to react to.
Yep. Yeah, totally. It's kind of scary. I mean, it's no, everyone wants to believe that they're serving their country 24/7. Everyone loves to kiss their guns and hope that they get a chance to use them. But when they can actually be of service by like, just wear a fucking mask, don't go outside. You know, they're at Walmart fucking without a mask on, pushing security guards over. So people are
Like,
fucking idiots.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool, sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
So, on the show, we usually just kind of start on musical arc. I'm really concerned about musical arc and just kind of, how artists kind of get to where they are. And I like to go from really, back in the day to present day and really get into that. So my first question, and I love this question just because it's often just super telling, which is, when was the first moments when you were like a kid when you started noticing that you were really like attracted to music? Like, this is a thing.
I knew it from a very early age because my parents were musically inclined. My dad listened to a lot of records when I was really young, and they used to play a trick on me where they would play a record and then put headphones on me, and I didn't know that they couldn't hear the music when the headphones were plugged in, so I would just like sing full volume to like James Taylor, things like that. But I got really addicted to it really early on. It was a lot of like Tears for Fears, James Taylor, the Beatles. My household wasn't a Rolling Stones household, but I can appreciate them later. Pink Floyd was really big in the house, and then like a lot of like classic rock stuff, which is strange considering we're from like Western New York to think that our music has like a tinge of Southern classic rock, but like that's what we grew up with because where it's a lot of farmland out here, and we would just go to like my uncle's bonfires and just blast like Creedence and Allman Brothers, and that was just what I grew up with. So I got into it pretty early.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I was definitely going to go there as far as like the progression of Every Time I Die in the Sound, but I think that's why I love asking this question, because sometimes it's like these really early, very formative like aha moments where kind of go back to, I mean, now you have kids and a lot of my friends have kids. I don't, but like there's sort of that innocence where it's just that moment that you get into shit.
Yeah.
You're not thinking, you don't know what the fuck is cool.
Yeah.
And you're just come there.
I literally just had this conversation yesterday with my wife Lindsay because we were driving in the car with our daughter, and I love to listen to like really bad, like I don't know if you have Sirius Radio, but like Octane, like supercharged Octane FM, like whatever it's called. And I listen to it like ironically because it's so fucking bad that I just want to kind of hear it and just like feel better about the music that I'm involved in. But I'm like, what if she grows up thinking that like Skillet is like her dad's favorite band because it's like it's always on the radio when we're driving. So I got to be a little more observant of that.
Bring this in, man. We got. And I'm glad that you brought this in a very public forum. So one in the comments just really like we're gonna be on a serious diet.
Yeah, for real. I got to be more aware of it. But also like I'm in a '90s cover band in Buffalo called Soul Patch. I mean, it's just a yes. Amazing. So that
at first having the email, I thought it was a complete hoax. Like I thought
it kind of is though. It kind of is a hoax. I mean, it was like it's one of the most successful like 3 a.m. drugged out ideas we've ever had that actually worked because we've been in it for like 8 years. But so then like I have to like learn these old songs, and I wonder if my daughter's gonna think that the songs that I'm listening to from the 90s were actually in like the 2010s and 20s because that's just all that was played around the house. But it's weird. It's weird what she's gonna pick up. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I can't micromanage it.
Listening to the same riff over and over again, like writing lyrics.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally. And it wouldn't be a bad thing if she grew up on Nirvana because I was just playing Nirvana in the house all the time, trying to like learn lyrics. So I grew up on Nirvana. I turned out all right.
Yeah, not bad, right?
Yeah.
So going back to those early days, it was like, so you came kind of from a music family and stuff like that, and obviously your brother Jordan is right there next to stuff like that. And what was it like when you kind of started first discovering kind of like, punk and hardcore and kind of branching out into your own tastes?
Um, so I think the very first time that I ever heard punk rock was when my dad got me a Sex Pistols CD. Um, and it was a little off-putting, but I kind of like delved deeper in. But this is like prior to the internet, so I didn't really, I didn't know how to follow that rabbit. So luckily we had a family move in down the street from me and the older brother was really into, oops, sorry. Oh, the older brother, hold on. Yeah, right. That'll be fine. Okay. The older brother was really into like, Jesus, come on.
That happened to me with Steve Von Till, and I was just absolutely
Yeah, it sucked. So the older brother, who's still a friend of mine, was into like Dead Kennedys and Minor Threat, Bad Religion. So he showed me that when I was about 13 or 14, and then I would just go to him. I mean, he was like the Google of punk rock music for me. So I found out a lot through him and just kept diving down that hole. And then Snapcase is from Buffalo. So I managed to get to see them at a show, and that show just changed my life completely. I mean, that was it. I was done from that point on.
And funny enough, we have Daryl on this show on Wednesday. Boom. Buffalo week.
There we go. It's amazing. That's awesome. Tell him I said hi. Yeah, it's cool. His so the drummer, Tim Redmond, his father was my guidance counselor in high school. So when I like learned about Snapcase and started really listening to them, because I would like listen to the Looking Glass Self cassette tape when I mowed lawns when I was a kid, and found out that his dad was my guidance counselor, and then I would actually just like go down to the guidance counselor's office just to like punish him and ask him about his son and his band. So he got punished to me.
Daryl is in the comment section and he says, "What's up?"
Oh, awesome! What's up, Daryl?
That is wild. But that's kind of amazing because it really is like that really like super local kind of vibe. I remember like going to like silent majority shows on Long Island and like just people knowing each other from school and different
totally
stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just how regional a lot of this stuff was, especially pre-internet. So that case for you was like really big gateway into a lot of other this whole thing, right?
Buffalo was really I'm very lucky to have grown up in Buffalo because I mean we have like Syracuse, New York, which was for a moment like the hub of, as far as I knew or was concerned, it was the hub of hardcore culture. Like Syracuse, New York, Earth Crisis from here. This is where everything's happening. And then we're right, we're halfway between that and Toronto. So I got like Grade and New Day Rising and things like that. So it was like there was like this melodic music coming from Canada. And then there was this brutal, like beat down hardcore coming from Syracuse. And I mean, if anybody wants to know really my approach going into Every Time I Die when I started, it was just mixing these two things, like brutal beat down screaming with like melodies. So that was just because of the location.
That's really interesting because I think a lot of people don't sort of take into account that proximity to Toronto and stuff. Unless they've toured in a band or something else like that, it's kind of like this weird fictitious line between like countries and stuff too.
Totally. Yeah.
But it's super close, right? Toronto's what, like 90 minutes away?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've done it, I think, in an hour and 20 minutes in a car. So yeah, it's no big deal at all. But it's also strange because like Canada and Toronto, their music is very insular in that you don't get a lot of it played even on the radio. I mean, there's bands that are enormous in Canada. They've won Juno Awards, which are like our Grammys, and you probably maybe haven't even heard of them here. But sitting on the border, we got those songs. We got the Canadian radio station, so we did hear like Tragically Hip and like Bare Naked Ladies and things like that. So we were exposed to Canadian music, but otherwise, I know that even just a little further south, like Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, anything like that, they had never even heard of these bands because the signal just didn't reach, and that's fucking crazy to me.
Absolutely, and I feel like even I mean, like I'm from Long Island, and I grew up about like a little over like about an hour from the city. So from Manhattan, the big show. We obviously have a very strong scene where I'm from, but it was always in proximity to that, and it's more natural for people to think New York to New York than Toronto, another country.
Totally.
So that's really, when did you kind of decide like, hey, let's give a go at me and Jordan are gonna fucking start a band?
So I moved away to college after high school. I went to Virginia Tech, and I was studying political science. My goal was to be a lawyer. And I aced the classes that I needed to ace and was doing so well, and I was so enthusiastic about it that the professor thought I was cheating on the exams and thought I must have been cheating on everything because I was doing so well. So I got kicked out of that school and came back to Buffalo, and I was like, fuck this. Like, let's start a band. I mean, I came home and got back, like immediately started going back to shows. That's how I met Andy Williams and our first drummer, Rat Boy. So I was like, man, my first real run at school didn't work out too well. Let's start a band. And then that sort of paralleled where I did end up going back to school for English, but it was only sort of to enhance each other. Like I just wanted to learn how to write better. So I knew that was kind of where my career was going to go. But it was ultimately just to take all that shit I learned and apply it to the band.
That's really interesting. And know that the kind of time wasted there, right? It just kind
Yeah,
of like culminated into
yeah,
sort of thing. When did you why Jordan? I mean, I always feel like the brothers thing, it's kind of
mhm,
like a storied thing in rock and roll, right? Like
yeah,
the Van
yeah.
Halen, there's so many different things. But I'm always curious about that decision.
I just knew that he had always been playing guitar. Like my dad kind of took him under his wing and like taught him how to play. And he was getting into hardcore, and while I was away in Virginia, he was still going to shows and
So
getting more. What's that?
he's younger.
Yeah, he's younger than me. Yeah, he's 2 years younger than me. So he was still in high school, and just getting more and more involved in the scene while I was away, and then I came back and kind of realized like, all right, we kind of, we know everybody in Buffalo that's in the scene right now. Like we've got some good dudes that we know that play guitar. Like let's fucking do it. So gave it a shot, and then no turning back.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I just love that that was kind of exploring the sort of the college thing and then just going back and making
yeah,
it turn. And when did you kind of start to feel like, hey, we have a little something going here? Like I always feel like there's a moment in time where you play a show or something happens and you're like, maybe there's just a little bit of a life affirmation there that you're like,
yeah,
gotta keep rolling down the hill with it.
yeah. So we when I was in college at University of Buffalo, maybe like 2000, 1999, 2000, maybe. We got an offer to play show in Orange County, California. And at this point in my college career, I was actually teaching high school. It was part of my master's program where you get placed into a high school, you teach, and then those credits go towards your master's degree. So I was doing that. We got an offer to play a show in California. So I couldn't get out of the teaching. So I had my friend who's a notary public fill out a form saying that I had a relative die, hand it into my high school. We left on Friday morning, drove to California, played the show, drove right back to Buffalo, and I was in class in time for Monday morning school. And I was like, you know what? That was the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I think I'm done teaching. Like I want to do that more. So I did. So I stopped doing it. I got my diploma and I just quit.
It's funny because I feel like a lot of people who haven't really made sort of this leap to like full-time musician or other things like our friends in Incendiary, they have like
Yeah.
amazing stories of being like, in like France and then just
Hmm.
scrambling to the finish line like
Yeah.
Monday morning, like,
Yeah. Yes.
I'm here, boss.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. That's what's like. I mean, the van picked me up on Friday morning, the day that I had gotten off. We drove, and they literally dropped me off in the school parking lot, and I got out of the van. I went to teach, and I was just like, I was a wreck. I mean, we had driven. I mean, it's a 40 something hour drive, so it's like just impossible to do. We beat it.
Man, I just have to take a moment. Anybody who's out there, go do that kind of drive in like 2 days.
Yeah, try that drive.
It'll
It's
make your
fucking
heart fucking weak.
nonstop. Yeah, and I was probably just reeking like alcohol. And then I remember my students like finding out that I was in a band, and I was like, don't ever let me fucking see you at a show ever. Like we're not friends. I don't. You don't have to come to the shows. Like I can't. Like we can't have that sort of relationship. So, But then I did see one of the kids at a bar that was very underage, and I knew that he was very underage, so I had to pull the teacher. I dadded him for a minute, but it was cool. It was a good experience, but not something I'd ever want to do again.
My wife is an educator, and it's like we are basically like if you were split apart at that moment at the same time.
Yeah.
So so then it was just like full on in. I've seen Every Time I Die since before Hot Damn era, but I feel like when Hot Damn hit, it was just something else, and I feel like that was a moment where I felt like Every Time I Die went from being a hardcore band that I kind of understood in a very kind of that lexicon of almost like the Syracuse stuff.
Yeah.
So like now we're switching and we're bringing this rock and roll
into
the lexicon, and then there's this amazing video with all these hardcore kids on roller skates.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
And I feel at the time there weren't many bands of the era that had made videos that really like connected. Maybe Refuse, the New Noise video was like big for me.
Totally.
Like, oh, he's hanging that down. My God, I'm losing.
Right.
Capitalism sucks. Amazing.
Yeah.
What was it like just kind of bringing that together and introducing those elements? And obviously they came from your childhood, but how did that work?
I mean, I appreciate you saying that. I honestly, what it amazes me is that it wasn't a meticulous thing at all. I mean, it wasn't like we sat down and we're like, okay, this is what needs to happen. This is what should happen. This is what isn't happening enough that we can introduce. We were just so like, I don't know. We were just so gung-ho about our band and like who we were that we just did what came naturally. Like we would still go roller skating. You know what I mean? Like I grew up when I was my 10th birthday party was at a roller skating rink. I mean, I grew up roller skating. I forget who even came up with the idea, but there was just none of us ever said to each other, this isn't going to look good to, you know, or like, what are they going to think about us? It was just like, this is what we want to do. This is what we're going to do. And we did it, and it just luckily clicked, but we never set out to change anything or to, you know, to intensify anything or to introduce new elements. We really just were doing what we were doing, and it just so happened that we had different backgrounds that, you know, from other hardcore kids. So, I mean, I love that video. I love that day. But I also remember going into recording Hot Damn and being fucking terrified and calling Carl Severson from Ferret and just being like, dude, I don't know what I'm doing here. I mean, this is like a real thing. Like there's a producer and I don't want this. Like, I just want to just, you know, play crummy little shows in basements. And he had to like talk me off the ledge in order to even walk into the studio to record Hot Damn. So, I just can't believe that it caught on like it did. And you know, that says a lot for music, even moving forward, is that all you have to do is just stay true to who you are, and someone's going to catch on it, you know? So.
Yeah, I think it's also a great, I agree with that. And it's a great lesson of, you know, following your own nose. And sometimes when you let too many of those outside moments and inside moments too, right? Like, what are you going to think? Those sorts of things, but also internally, like, am I good enough? Should I even be here?
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Like there are professionals around, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And that moment, you have to kind of choose to become something.
Right.
And I feel like that's always the thing. And like my impression of Every Time I Die, which is so different from what you're telling all of us, and I'm sure all the fans in the comments and everyone here watching too, is like that you guys have always had it so together, man. To me, it's like super tight aesthetic, always a great like wit in the lyrics, and like super heavy in the songwriting with great like, you know, kind of this sort of rock twist to I was just like, this is it. And then obviously like the artwork and like that visual component always working with it. And so to me, I'm like, these guys are like geniuses. Like,
it's and I mean, I like I said, I really appreciate that, but it really is just like when you're tuning a radio. I mean, we just know what channel to tune into when we're writing, when we're recording, and when we're touring. It's like, this is the frequency we're on. Like, you got to change it a little bit, but eventually you find the clearest one and then just stick with that one. So, I mean, it was really, really scary to know that I was going into like a professional situation for the first time, but it's never been sitting at the drawing board trying to like figure out what's going on. It's always just kind of been like, we're just going to do what we want to do. And hopefully people will like it. Luckily they have. So.
Sure, sure. So what, just, because I feel like there's been definitely like a real nice evolution of sound in the sort of Every Time I Die world, moving on to Gutter Phenomenon and these other things, and really like a lot of melody coming in, rock stuff coming in, but it never seemed like it was like one of these fucking like lame attempts to like popping out for the radio or something.
Right.
It felt like it continued to kind of marinate and like new flavors would come through.
Yeah.
One of the reasons I feel that way was it was also the progression of your voice and how you used it. What was that kind of journey like to like kind of just start opening it up?
Yeah, I mean it's the fact that anybody even liked Every Time I Died after like during that early era is crazy, because I hear like how I mean just how unskilled I was really, but I knew what I wanted to do. And I just kept chasing that. Like I know that I want to like have a good singing voice. I know that I want there to be melody in these parts that are otherwise supposed to be heavy. I knew that I wanted there to be like, some sort of wit to the lyrics where if you read them without the music, they still are impactful. And I just kept fucking plowing through it. And I don't know if it was like just stubbornness or stupidity, but I just kept fucking going. And then I would take vocal classes and everything and eventually just really figure out what I was good at and what I could admit that I wasn't good at. But there's so much of it has to do with the fact that we grew up without the internet. Like we started without the internet. It wasn't even a thing really yet. So we didn't have all these, there weren't a lot of message boards telling us to go fuck ourselves or to die in a van crash like there are now. I mean, we were really coming up in an era. Yeah. So we were just plugging along, and we didn't really have all these voices outside of our realm telling us that we should do this more or this less. We were just, like you said, following our noses. So that's kind of always what I did too. And I've done a lot of embarrassing things, and I'm very embarrassed of a lot of early recordings because I was just so green. But I mean, I'm still here, so it must have worked out for the reason.
Yeah, I think that's also a part of it too. And maybe, at a certain point, you can say that you were at the edge of your abilities at the time.
Yeah, right.
Like,
right.
No one's going to compare like, high school Michael Jordan to college.
Right, yeah.
You were pretty good the whole time. I'm going to just say.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate that.
That's fine.
Thanks.
Moving on.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I thought that those are really great moments. Oh, look, live.
Oh man, can I go grab a beer? Do I have time?
Go for it.
Are you sure?
30 seconds. I'll entertain the crowd. You go get
Okay.
it.
Okay, I promise. I'll run right back. Hold on.
Just be quick. I got a White Claw because I'm like trash right now. It's like beach trash kind of moment. So guys, what do you think? I'm going to kind of move into, talking about just him kind of opening up a little bit more on the voice and stuff like that. We went through that. I really want to ask a little bit about artwork, but it's not Jordan, so we're going to keep moving that. And then I'm going to ask about damn things, right? We got to ask about that a little bit. Like, fuck, we're going to start a band with fucking Scott Ian. Shit, okay. Like, how does that happen? I don't know. The guy from Scotland, White Claw, is like this very disgusting seltzer, alcoholic seltzer that I really like. So it's super good. And then we're going to go to Low Teens for sure, man. That shit is fucking great. And there was a big break between those records, right? Like, why did that happen? I don't know. And of course, we got books and lyrics. We got to.
Okay.
I'm talking to the.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Cheers.
I just described White Claw as disgusting alcoholic seltzer that I really like.
It's pretty good. Are you a Truly guy? Do you drink Trulies?
I think Trulies are like fakies. I'm like a White Claw.
Oh, you think Trulies are imposters?
Yeah, Trulies are fakies, man. I'm
a
White Claw guy.
I actually didn't find out about White Claws until after Truly, so I had gotten into Trulies for a summer, but
maybe it's why I found out about Grade way later than
I have this terrible memory when I first started drinking in high school. went to a party and didn't understand how being drunk worked. So I had blueberry gin, I think it was. And I was drinking it, and I was just drinking it straight like out of the bottle, and I was like, oh, I feel great. I want to make sure that I keep feeling great. So I just kept drinking it because I didn't realize that it just, you get drunker. I thought it's just, that's how you maintain the buzz. And I fucking puked. Oh, it's blackberry gin. I threw up so many times for the next 3 days that I can't even like smell anything like blueberry, blackberry later. It's fucking awful. So Trulies are hard.
Always Rumplemans.
Oh, dude. Yeah, I remember
Like,
Rumplemans.
oh my God, this is like candy. Like, we're having a great time.
Yeah.
I couldn't even look at like a candy cane.
That's kind of how I feel about Jaeger too, because on Ozfest in 2004, like, we're sponsored by Jaeger, which just means they give you a bunch of free alcohol, and then you get drunk, and then they like take pictures of you doing weird shit. And we on Ozfest, the first band to play would play, and it was a rotating schedule. They played we played at 9:30 in the morning some days. 9:30 in the fucking morning on Ozfest, which meant that we had to be up by 7 to load our shit, which meant that there were some days when I was drinking Jaeger at like 8 in the morning, and now it's just, the smell of it just makes me fucking puke. But
yeah. It's those experiences. It's like how you remember your first, great show or something like that. The negative things really stick out too.
It's like comments on the internet. Like, you could have 1,000 good comments, but that one bad one is what fucking turns you off of like ever checking website again.
You're like, cool. I can go die now. Apparently.
Yeah, exactly.
So picking up sort of where we left off. So I think we're kind of like around like a Bolorama and stuff like that. We're going to start a phenomenon and stuff like that. I feel like the train just kept moving, and you guys ended up putting out just like a run of albums that, to me, hand over fist, kind of kept building on the sound and stuff like that. What were certain levels that I feel like, in a way, Every Time I Die has been kind of like a slow cook, but in a good way. Like, it's just sort of kept going. Up in a steady way. And has there been any kind of like moments where you're like, oh man, we're breaking in like Europe now, or like, hey, we're going to Australia now?
That's the problem with being a band for 20 years and still never having like mainstream success, is that it's a slow burn, and so these things that would otherwise be an accomplishment are just the logical next step. Because it's like, well, yeah, we've been fucking touring the States. We've done the States 30 times. Of course, now we have to go to like Japan. It's the only thing we can do left, So you do that, and there's never really these jumps into new territory, because you're always just sort of like slowly wading into that depth. Which kind of sucks, and it sounds like I'm ungrateful. And I look back at my early life, and I think, like, why didn't I take more advantage of that first trip to like fucking Southeast Asia, or first trip to Australia, or the first time we went to England. And it was only because like we were taught to, like, it's just what we had to do next. So there was never like a real jump off of like, well, we're not playing any shows, we're not getting any buzz, and then all of a sudden, like, a single hits, and we're fucking, exploding on the scene. It was just always a really gradual progression. But I think that a lot of that has to do with the fact that we had a schedule. Like, we maintained a schedule of every 2 years, we were going to put out 2 years. We're going to do that, we're going to do that. And that only stopped after Low Teens. I mean, it's been 4 years since our last record, and right now we're sitting on what I fully believe is the best record we've ever done, but we can't put it out yet. So, yeah.
That's what everyone was asking about. Way to go. You did. Okay.
Yeah.
What's a big break before Low Teens?
I don't know if there ever was one. I mean, I remember like surreal moments of like playing a Download festival, and the crowd just being enormous and full of activity. And I remember opening up for A Day to Remember at this castle called Ali Pali, I think. Like the Rolling Stones played there. It's like a huge, enormous, famous venue, and seeing like 10,000 people just like undulating like water. And I mean, there's been those moments, but
let me know if I'm doing it like this.
yeah, that's it. Yeah. And yeah, everyone was doing it, but they were like moshing kind of, and it was very strange. And it was, there's been those surreal moments, but I don't really ever felt like this is our big fucking break, guys. And we can do this now finally.
And I think that's very true. I just think it's like markers along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But you've ended up, it's again a slow burn, but it's like, low and slow, and you keep cooking it, and you're gonna have a delicious meal.
Of course, yeah, of course.
And that's what I really see out of you guys in a lot of ways. And you guys are consistently putting out records, and then Low Teens took a while to make. I feel like it took some time, and then to me it sounded like a band that was really like refreshed and had really nice. Like I feel like you guys were like iterating on a theme for a while, and then you guys got super good at it.
Yeah.
It took a minute, and then Low Teens all of a sudden came, at least to me, like kind of out of nowhere, because I was used to the cycle that you guys were on, and I was like, wow, this is great, and like new harmonies and vibes. And, okay.
Yeah.
What was it like putting that record together, and why the kind of the jump in time?
So when we started writing Low Teens, everything was kind of going according to plan, and I was just kind of getting prepared to just do what I normally do when I write a record, which is like sequester myself for 2 months and do nothing but like read and write. But then because what was supposed to happen was that right after we got out of or right around the time we were supposed to go into the studio was when my wife was supposed to give birth, and then she gave birth very early. Our daughter was premature, a lot of health complications, and that just like triggered something in me to like just write, and it was like the inspiration for the whole record. So that all came about very fast and unexpectedly, in that I had so much shit going on that I would, there were times when I was writing like two or three, I think I wrote 3 songs in one day one time, just because I was like I had so much uncertainty with their health that I was trying to control everything I could and just focus on the things that I could actually control, which was the music and the writing. So I was writing a lot at that point, but I look back at that and I feel like I sort of hijacked the music because I made it so personal about my own experience at the time that I didn't really like let because now whenever anybody asks me about Low Teens, it's always like, oh, tell me about what happened, about the lyrics. But there's also brilliant musicianship on the record. You know what I mean? Like Jordan and Andy and Steve and Daniel, like they just fucking killed it. It's all amazing and I love it all. And I started feeling really bad that like that was the only thing that was being asked about. So we put out that record. It was like just completely cathartic, and we just kept touring on it, and we were letting it sit. And the longer we were touring on it, the more positive responses we were getting from it. So we're like, well, let's not rush back into the studio again. Like let's just keep touring and just see how this goes. And we'll play new songs for the record that we haven't played yet, and we'll change it up, and we can keep doing this for a little bit and just let it breathe. So we did. And then it just kind of got time where we're like, okay, we really need to put out some new shit right now. So we went into the recording space, and my approach this time was much different. It was that I was gonna like not take over the music. Like I wanted to let the music do a lot of the talking, and I was just gonna have fun with it, because Low Teens is great, but it's very serious and it's dire, and I don't think there's a lot of lighthearted humor on it that like a Bolorama stuff. Like you don't find that on Low Teens. You can't imagine a roller skating video to any song on Low Teens. So
no,
we went into this new record with that attitude, and I love it so much. Can't wait to get it out.
At least from like a longtime fan, and like in my perspective, just kind of like sitting back and just kind of looking at everything and stuff like that too. I mean, even from the cover of Low Teens, still different from everything else. But like I really appreciated it though, because I thought it showed like a different range of emotion.
Yeah.
Along the lines of a different of like a consistent sonic palette that was also going somewhere too. And I thought it opened up a new thing. But at the same time, when you probably have something so strong happen to you in your life,
Mm-hmm.
and you have that immediate like kind of boom reaction to it.
Yeah.
But now you have something different, which is perspective, and that
Right.
gives you a whole other.
Absolutely. It's the other side of the coin. So, yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, like I love that Low Teens cover because it was just darkness with a pop of light. You know what I mean? Like it's all black with just that bright pink, and it's like that's kind of how it felt, like, right, like emotionally, like writing that record. Like it was just all, for me, so much darkness, but like the actual record was the only thing that like pulled me through it, you know, like having to focus on that record. So like I feel like the artwork was really appropriate for what we had done with that record. But yeah, and now I can look back on it and comment on that, which is more inspiration to write stuff. So
For
no
sure,
shortage of material.
yeah. And just kind of getting that clarity. And this, you know, for everybody watching, I know it's like these are people's lives, you know, and like at different moments, these things are just going to affect the art. They're going to reverberate into the art in different ways.
Yeah.
So this is important to sort of think about. And also, one of the things that you're saying that you kind of are getting back to, which to me is always like a staple, is that Every Time I Die has always had a humor to it, but it's always had like, it's a wit to it. It's like an American wit, like that's really acerbic and cool. And like, I think that that's what really catches a lot of, besides obviously like the sonic and oral aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
When you went to go get a beer, everyone was like, ask him about lyrics, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm fucking getting there.
Yeah, you know what you're doing.
But I'm like, but it's really true, because I think a lot of people really kind of respect the way that you write those lines. How did you kind of cultivate your style?
A lot of British humor, actually, growing up. A lot of like dry Monty Python, Faulty Towers, shit like that, Andy Kaufman. But I just feel like, I don't know, I don't know, and maybe that's what made me react this way to normal tragedy or trauma, is that I laugh immediately when I can't understand, when something's so overwhelming that it just fucking, I can't even like comprehend it. My instinct is just to laugh. And that's like a weird defense mechanism thing. But I also know that it provides levity to it. And once there's levity to a situation, then I feel like more people can connect with it. So humor and wit are just a way to sort of like, and I don't say this as a tactical approach of taking advantage of everyone, but it's a way to disarm them. So if you realize that someone's funny, or you connect with something they say and it makes you like kind of, you know, give one of those little shoulder laughs, and like you're more open and you're more vulnerable. And the thing about hardcore music is that it's 100% vulnerability across the board. Like real hardcore, real punk is just about being vulnerable. But that's easy for a band to do because they know what they're getting into. They know that they're going to have to stand in front of people. They know they're going to have to play instruments and sing and possibly make mistakes and fuck up here and there. But for a crowd of people watching, it's also important for them to want to feel vulnerable too, because when they do that, they can trust more. And I think that's one of the best things about Every Time I Die, is that our live shows are just full of fucking people that trust each other. Like there's never fights. There's never like beef. Everyone's always looking out for each other. There's like groups of people that fucking met on like Eaton message boards. And it's because of this vulnerability that the people that listen to our band share. And I like to think of it, and I don't know if this is true, and I'm not claiming responsibility for it, but I think that being funny or lighthearted is a way to make people okay with being vulnerable. So that's important to us.
I think that that's a really interesting approach, and like you said, it has that disarming thing, but also creating the environment that you want to share these songs in, and in like a really like tangible way. And I think obviously I've been to some Every Time I Die shows, and I feel like it's a unique experience, and it's an experience that you know, obviously we've had at Saint Vitus, and we've had a lot of different places, you know, as I've had, at least as a fan, and I'm like, this is a thing. It's a thing, and people come here for that thing, right?
Right. Yeah, and I don't think anybody like ever feels afraid in an Every Time I Die show. Honestly, like I feel like everyone feels like they're welcome and they're welcoming to each other, and it's really fucking beautiful. Like I know it's a microcosm, but if more of the world thought this way, that I know that every time that I fans think, and that every time that I think, it would just be so so much more peaceful, and loving. And it's strange to say peaceful because it's aggressive music, but it's not denying anger. It's accepting it and expressing it, and expressing frustration in a healthy way. And you're surrounded by people that are looking out for you. And, it really is a community and it's only because we've been going for so long. Like, we're in our 21st year as a band. So it is safe to say now that we have a community of people that, listen to our music.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, honestly, because I'm like, wow, I've been listening Every Time I Die for almost 20 years.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've been experiencing that sort of catharsis and that sort of thing, and that's amazing, and it's a cool thing. And there's a big arc, and if you just got on the ride, that's cool too. You know what I mean?
Right. Totally.
Come on.
It's real. Yeah. It feels really judgment free, and like I don't know if I'm misreading it because I'm not in it. I'm not in it. Like I'm sort of in front of it, but I just feel, I mean, the energy of an Every Time I Die show is just so fucking extraordinary. And the main reason that I'm still in this band and still doing it is because I know as a fan, and I hate to say fan, I know that as a person that listens to music, I would love what Every Time I Die has done. I would love to go to an Every Time I Die show if I was in Every Time I Die. I love the scene that they kind of helped foster. I love everything about what the people stand for that go there. I would feel so welcome in that community. That's what I just want to like make sure that I'm having a hand in providing.
And I think that's a really important thing. I was talking to Mike from Yob, like one of my favorite bands too, and their live shows are sort of devastating in a completely different way. But like we just talked so much about just being like, we just bring our intention. And we bring it to like every person in that room, and we just bring our intent. And he had like this very beautiful, and I'm paraphrasing, way of sort of bringing that out. And I feel like he just encapsulated so much of like just that thing. It's like you bring that intention through your lyrics, your wit, the artwork, everything else, and you built this thing. And now we have like, well, maybe not now, but generally over the past 20 years, you've been lucky enough to have that ritual to do that.
Yeah, it's really, I'm extremely grateful. I'm thankful for everyone that even comes to the show, but it's just we try to just pay it forward. I mean, I've been to hardcore shows where someone gets on stage and grabs a mic and the singer just fucking punches the kid. You know what I mean? That, like, knocks the kid out. And it's like, man, this dude that got on stage is willing to be vulnerable and to look like an idiot, but he was so charged with emotion, and then he hit a wall because the singer shut him down. It's like, dude, no, if you've been to one of our shows, people get on stage all the fucking time. And I couldn't be happier. I mean, I know no one's going to hurt me. I know no one's going to hurt each other. It's just like, that's the shared experience that we are really hoping to foster.
And that's an amazing thing. And I think something cool for everybody out there making music and stuff like that too. It's like, I think twice you've sort of pointed out that, and I think it's always really important to say this, that you had a point of view, right? Like you were chasing this musical aesthetic, and you were chasing it for a while, and maybe, bumps along the way, different things. And then you were chasing maybe, okay, this is how I want my shows to be. And
right.
I want Every Time I Die shows to be. And like, I'm the man with the microphone who could tell you I love the most,
Yeah. I really felt like there was a time when I was just kind of very vanilla about the way that I felt, and like I didn't want to like ruffle any feathers here and there, but that's not what this is for. I mean, and that was a very short period of my life where I was like, I'm just gonna make music, and I'm just gonna stay out of social media, and I'm just gonna focus on what I'm good at. But that's like I mean, it's just a waste of an opportunity to really challenge people or to invite people in, because this new record has a lot of political aspects on it, but it's not even political anymore, and it's so easy for people to say, oh, just shut up and fucking keep politics out of your music. But like, this is humanity, this is spirituality, this is not even politics anymore. There's such a broader meaning to it all that yeah, you can tie everything that you want into this sort of communal vibe, and the feeling of this organism that functions when every part is working properly, like a show is supposed to, and realize that, like, okay, let's apply that to the country, let's apply it to the world. Like, there's just a way that we should be treating each other, and things that we deserve are not being allowed to us. So I think that the vibe is getting a little more like, okay, we're powerful now. Like, we have a stance, we have a microphone, we have a stage. Let's do it. You know, let's do something with it. Let's use it for good. So that's what we're trying to do.
It's a really cool thing, and that's like, you know, a maturity in that in of within the band and of yourselves to not only just like realize that, but be able to like wield it. You know, it's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not the hard. It's a hard thing too, because you don't want to just kind of like force it or make some weird aesthetic choices because of, you know, a moment or anything like that. But
right.
At the same time, you know, I really don't. I never understood this sort of like, you're here to entertain me, shut the fuck up kind of.
Oh yeah, totally.
We're
yeah.
human beings, and the reason you like my band is you can
right.
identify with what I'm saying or how I'm performing, right?
Right. Especially with music too. I mean, it's acceptable ever, but like, you know, I just keep thinking of that fucking idiot on like Fox News that like told LeBron James to like shut up and dribble. Like, what the fuck are you? What are you? What, like the reason that LeBron James is an icon and an idol to so many is because he's not just like a machine that dribbles a basketball. Like, he opens schools, and he donates money, and he helps impoverished children. It's just like, to the fact that like anyone thinks that they're entitled to pure entertainment is just fucking mind blowing. And especially in music too. Like, if you think that like politics shouldn't be a part of this music, you've never listened to this music before, and you probably don't. You're probably just being a contrarian that just wants to, own the libs or whatever.
You gave up on it when you were like 17, and like
yeah.
And that's kind of the thing about it too. It's like, even in our realm as well, right? Where you can maybe make that. I totally agree with you. Where you can make that assertion, like sports, it's a different sort of thing. This is art. This is expression.
Yeah.
Like the most direct way of like, I'm giving you, again, vulnerability, a piece of my humanity, that nature, so we can sort of share in this ritual. That's why I think that like musicians are just like incredible empaths, and people in general.
Totally.
Lucky to have that to hang in the club a little bit, you know?
Yeah. And if you really feel like you don't have a stance on politics because your life isn't affected by them, then you're the reason that so many other people's lives are negatively affected by them. Because if you can sit this one out, you just sit this one out. Like, there's Black Lives Matter protests, and you can just sit this one out, then you're a part of the fucking problem. You're the reason why there are protests, because you're not speaking up enough. You're not taking a fucking firm enough stance. Like, do something with your position in society. Do something with your privilege. Do something with your microphone. So I would feel like I was doing a disservice to humanity if I didn't like make my point clear, you know.
And and that all being said too, it's like everyone's got a role to play in everything in this world, and sometimes people feel powerless, and I feel in different ways about that. But it's cool too that when like in my opinion, when sometimes in something that is feeling very powerful, like a band or something like that you see congregates hundreds, thousands of people and creates these songs that you love, and they give you that kind of wind behind you. You know, it's a very powerful and motivating thing. So.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I absolutely. It was, I mean, when I forget when the first Rage Against the Machine album came out. I must have been 14 or 15, but I really wasn't, I didn't watch the news when I was 14 or 15, but as soon as I heard the first Rage Against the Machine album, now I'm looking up terminology and dictionaries and encyclopedias. Now I'm figuring this shit out. There is no way that I would be here today without Rage Against the Machine, because my first reaction to hearing them wasn't, keep politics out of this. Like, why would you? This is someone that I love. This is a music that I identify with. and this is a message that I'm going to follow. So you learn more, and I just think that anybody saying like to keep politics out of music doesn't listen to music closely enough anyway. So fuck them.
Or you're just kind of not into like sharing, right? It's kind of so I'm first generation Colombian person. My parents are born in Bogota, right? And it's kind of like saying like, hey man, these cumbia artists don't talk about Bogota or something. It's like who they are. This is what it is. And one of the most beautiful parts about art is that it can give you a window into where other people are from and how they are, you know? Like we talked about a regional hardcore scene before, right? We talked about like Western New York. To me, that was mythic, you know? I'm from Long Island, you know, and I have things and stuff. But to me, that was mythic. It was something else. And I was just like, oh, that's cool. And then DC hardcore is a whole other thing. And California is a whole other thing. And this is before the internet. There's a strong regionalism, sonically and mentally, I think, too. This is really where we're at right now. Is like, how to communicate. This is a form of communication.
Right, but it's strange because music is one of those things. It's a very weird social construct that music sort of accepts and heralds different regionalism, because you understand that you're not from there, but you can respect what someone else does, and you're not from Syracuse, but you can respect Syracuse hardcore. You're not from California, but you can respect California hardcore. And it's all this like tribalism thing that no one's trying to fucking take over anyone. You know what I mean? Like no one sees another thing and it's like, I need that, and I'm going to be the only one that has that. It's like, no, I'm going to just be influenced by fucking all of it. And that's what, separates fucking artists from cops. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't need, I see it. I don't need to fucking own it. I can just accept it and appreciate it and see if I can find a way to weave it into the tapestry of my life. And that's why music is just fucking incredible. And that's why it saves lives.
Yeah, it's a window in, it's like a window in, and an empathetic, really empathetic, vulnerable window in, Like, I listen to everything from, you guys to, like Oranzi Pazuzu to like SZA.
Right.
The window in to so much stuff, and we're lucky people are willing to make themselves vulnerable enough to have window in, and that's writing, and that's really cool stuff. And I feel like you've achieved that in a lot of things, and I feel like with Low Teens especially, that was a different moment for you guys, and you shared so much. And when I saw you guys play those songs live, I saw another connection, another level of connection, which was beautiful. So look, we have 90 seconds left.
Okay.
Keith, I just want to thank you real quick for.
Oh, dude, this is great.
And
love it
to see you. Obviously,
you too, buddy.
See each other in normal times and everything like that.
I miss you, Bob.
Keith, obviously, you got a new record. We're all happy about it. We'll get to it soon.
I promise, in due time.
More into Keith's beautiful acerbic wit, and he's got books out and stuff like that. So check those things out. And
Cameo too. I'm on Cameo now. If you wanna, you can check me out on Cameo. That's my only source of income right now.
Give Keith a couple of bucks.
Just toss me a couple of bucks.
Give a White Claw. He's out of work as I am.
Yeah.
Do things. Keith, you're the fucking best. Thank you
so much. I love you, bud.
You know what? When all this bullshit is over, I look forward to having you guys drive down, and
we will be there. We'll be there as soon as you invite us. We'll be there. We'll be on the road.
Cheers to you guys.
Cheers, bud. Cheers, guys. Cheers. Thanks for watching.
Later.
Take care.